What's up, Kika?
Hello. How should your
Welcome
intro be?
back.
Oh,
Welcome
we
back
have
to
a fat party in
Shooters.
here.
Fat party.
Yes, say what up to the cam. Do you want to be the camera person? Roll the camera.
When it shuts off every 17 minutes? Or 16 minutes?
Do you have an
What?
idea like how it's gonna go?
Yeah, dude, like this. It's already going.
No,
make
like,
sure
the,
you're-
like the topics.
No.
Oh.
Sorry, dude.
No, he's literally so unorganized. Like, I was sitting there, like,
Dude.
stressing out.
She's like, what are you going to ask me? I'm like,
I don't
whatever
know.
I want.
All right, there you go. Hey,
He's like,
that's
just go with it.
that's
But
a
he's
good
at
interviewer
that.
then.
He's good at that.
Can you legit, like, slightly move it towards me?
I can't
Yes.
take Mario seriously with the glasses.
I know.
Is he awake or sleeping?
Are you sleeping? I was flipping in and out. I'm behind on my sleep.
All right, folks, we got a live studio audience today, and it's a very special episode.
I'm excited.
Got my buddy Lorenzo. We're going to talk about some esports. So, welcome back to Shooters, folks.
I wouldn't wait forever. Just shoot your shot. We don't need no more.
I left a couple of
extras. We all we got.
So I brought Lorenzo on to talk about esports because he's at esports. What would you consider, like a fan? You're a streamer.
I like to consider myself an esports enthusiast.
Enthusiast.
If we want to be all fancy.
All right, bro.
Streaming.
So he's an esports enthusiast. He streams. So where can people watch your stream and how and what time?
Unofficial plug, but a plug nonetheless. Twitch.tv/Lorenzo.
Lord, Lordenzo.
Yes.
And it's Twitch, dudes. I feel like Twitch is is that the biggest one?
That's the biggest one. I mean, Amazon just bought them last year for about $1 billion. Because, Amazon owns us all anyway. They're probably listening to us right now.
They own YouTube, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So, you got Twitch, YouTube Gaming, Mixer. Those are the top three.
Yeah.
But Twitch, you just have constantly about 1 billion concurrent viewers throughout the day.
Like Ninja uses Twitch.
Ninja uses Twitch. That's
And
how he's
anyone can
found
do it, dude.
Anyone can do it. I mean, it's like anyone can make like a trash song and then become really big on the radio. It's it's not that easy.
Anyone can make a trash YouTube video. Craziest thing to me about like video games is like how much money they're actually making with it.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's a good like.
I think it was like Ninja was making, I think $1 million a month just from streaming, including donations, advertisements, sponsorship, TV deals. He was the first one on Time Magazine, the first esports personality to be on Time Magazine.
Yeah.
So
Why
it's
him?
growing.
Like, was he really that good? Like, why did he blow up?
Honestly, this is the thing that people need to realize, that esports and streaming are two different things. So
Yeah.
esports is like, there's a lot of, like, let's just take Ninja for example. A lot of
Yeah.
Fortnite players that are 50 times better than him.
Mm.
But since he like started the movement, and he blew up really quickly when Drake and Travis Scott went on his stream, and then Juju Smith was on there as well. It really blew up there.
Yeah. There's not like a rhyme or reason.
Right.
Well, I think having that personality is probably a huge thing too.
Oh yeah.
It's like people get on your stream like, wow, this guy's just sitting here playing.
Yeah.
You know, like not saying anything.
It's like when people are like, oh, why do you watch gamers stream on Twitch? It's like, why do you watch NFL players play football on TV? You know what I mean? Or basketball, soccer. I call them e-athletes.
Yeah.
It's the fancy word.
E-athletes. I wouldn't call them that, but let's get into this, dude.
Let's
because,
get
like,
into it.
dude.
I think this is what the viewers want to see.
Yeah, this
a
is
rumble.
And let me just say, like,
A rumble.
first of all, I love video games, dude. Like, all the respect in the world to people who can go out and make money. Are you kidding me? Make money by playing a video game? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and I even respect the industry. But, like, athlete, to me, dude, you gotta have some athleticism to be an athlete. That's just my opinion, though. You know?
All right.
That's, like, but also not just my opinion, because, like,
Many people share that same
Like-
view.
let's not name drop him. Professor Morgan, we can say that. He gave me a definition of sport. Always physical exertion.
The traditional mindset, but yes.
Okay,
I see what
so
you're
there's
saying.
new definitions of sport coming around.
Yes.
What's that?
So let's take it down a little bit. Let's take it down a little bit. So esports, let's just take the money out of it. Let's just take out video games are awesome. Just take all that and put that to the side. If you take the mental side, and there is a physical component, people don't realize, in the competitive side. So I remember 2015, I played on a semi-professional team, similar to a game called League of Legends. Played there and played against an organization called Cloud9, which is worth right now $60 million as an organization. Dang. Probably more at this point. And I think I played in front of, like, on Twitch. This is just in my house, in my little room with my trash computer at the time. And I played in front of 15,000 people. And I remember my arms were sweaty. Mom's spaghetti was just coming out. I was nervous. I felt like I wanted to throw up. Everything was numb.
Yeah.
And
so many were watching.
So many were watching, the pressure. It was to get to, it was a qualifier to get to Korea. Obviously, my team and I knew we were going to lose. Yeah. So we were like, you know what, let's just have fun. But the whole point of, being an e-athlete is that there's a mental side of it. There's reflexes. There is a physical component. Moving your arms or your fingers, you have to just be constantly the reflexes. I'm telling you. You just got to do it on the competitive side, and you'll understand.
Yeah. You got to, train. You
got to
lift
train.
Or no?
Hey.
You got to be in, physical shape?
This is the thing. It's like when you're in school.
Yeah.
And you're in class, right? No, when you're in, school, and you don't sleep a lot, and you don't eat healthy, and you're, you feel a lot, drained, and you feel lethargic in class, and you're just writing notes, and you're, very slow. It's the same thing in esports. When you're, not exercising, when you're not working, the certain muscle groups,
yeah,
you're going to be slow. And then...
You need your G Fuel.
You need your G Fuel.
Shout
out G Fuel. Sponsor this man.
You need to focus up. Get in the zone.
Get in the zone.
And, dude, I know what you're talking about. Because, I used to play, Call of Duty. And I'd play online. And, dude, some days I'd be just,
You're in the zone.
Killing, I just killed 13 people in a row. I'm still going.
You're in the zone.
And then other days you're like, well, dude, I can't get a kill. So I understand what you're saying. You got to have some focus. You got to have some, reflexes. And it's not for everybody. But it's just not my it's not my definition of physical exertion, when you train your body. But, what are some other, sports that you think maybe shouldn't be a sport if that's the definition?
I mean, honestly, I used to think before I got into esports, I used to, categorize different sports of not being sports. But then that would make me look like a hypocrite if I said esports was a sport and then
so now everything's
NASCAR.
A sport, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think if there's competitive aspect, there's a goal. I don't think the physical part of it, especially in an ever-growing society of technology, I don't think sport has to be so one-dimensional to just, it has to be physical. Because I feel like even in soccer, even in football, it's not just black and white, one, it's not, it's always fluid.
Yeah.
So I feel like that the definition of sport should always be fluid.
Fluid.
Not staying complacent.
Okay. So, every sport is different, but, they all have physical. You said NASCAR?
NASCAR.
Bro, those guys are athletes, dude.
I would consider them athletes for sure.
That pit crew? They're zoom, zoom. Dude, those pit crews jumping over cars and stuff, bro.
It's
changing tires.
There's
and
a physical part of it. But there's even more importance in mental side of it than the physical. Because, if you're not paying attention to the screws and bolts and the tire pressure, all that stuff, and you're not paying attention, then it's not going to go well,
Is it dude sleeping? I don't know, dude. I'm still not ready to call it a sport because then we're just getting willy-nilly with what we're calling sports.
That's what I'm saying. You got to be open-minded and have to understand that sports is fluid.
I'm this open-minded. Let's make nut cracking a sport, bro. You're going to use your arm muscles. You're going to use your wrist muscles. You're going to crack nuts. Competition. Who cracks this nut?
You know what?
The purist?
I'll be prepared to agree with you. Let's do it.
Who cracks the nut quickest and the best? Who has the best crack?
Of the nut.
Stream it.
That actually would be pretty...
that's just off the top of my head. We
so
can start
hot dog
making
eating
sports
contests, what do you consider those? Would that be a sport? You got to do physical.
You physically train.
You physically
grow
train.
that belly, dude. Bro. Is that a sport? Is it known as a sport, though? Because it's competition that people know about.
There it is. It's a competition. There's a single goal. That's considered a sport. So.
Ew. Stop.
Oh man.
You know what I mean though? Like, to me, sports is
It's
always
definitely a
been
gray
like
area. I'll agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a gray area.
like if we could start making anything a sport, just one goal, we can compete and we can train. Like, what other aspects are there? What other aspects have to be make a
To
sport?
define a sport,
Or even an athlete.
an athlete.
Like, if we look up the definition of athlete right now, what's it going to say? Is it like physically trains himself for a competition?
Audience, do we have this?
Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, but they have poker on ESPN.
Poker. See that? I wouldn't call that a sport.
A
But it's a
person who is proficient in sports and other forms of physical exercise.
And okay. Listen.
we're talking about two separate things, for sure.
Right.
Athlete and then sport.
Right. But what about? You said poker is not a sport.
No.
If I'm prepared to say esports is a sport, I gotta go with my poker bros and say it's a sport.
Yeah.
The mental side. Mental training. I feel like mental and physical are similar. Even though you're not physically in the game or physically, you're the chip and you're moving yourself.
So your definition of sport would be a competition that utilizes mental or physical exertion
Yes.
to attempt to win.
Because when you're mentally drained, like your body's physically tired.
Yeah.
There's that two connections right there.
Yeah. I like your definition. I'm just not fully ready to
fine.
dive into that. I want
There
that's
needs to
just
be a
me-
discussion for sure.
dude, and that's just me being like, I want sport to be like kind of like what I've known it as
Right.
my whole life. Like, I just want it to be something not gray area. I don't want there to be gray area. I want to know, you know. And unfortunately, I don't, because they just called it esports.
But this is the thing.
It's known by the world as e-sport. It's literally in the name. So it's
Esports.
already a sport. Just no one even asked. They're just,
Hey,
it's a sport.
nobody asked when football came knocking down.
You're
Hey,
right. You're right.
I'm a sport.
And yeah, they probably put it in the dictionary, but no.
But this is the thing. For people who don't think it's a sport, why do people care so much that it is being
is or
considered?
isn't.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Is or isn't.
So if you're asking me that, probably just because like sports, I grew up playing sports. And I just have that kind of like connection to it. That's like
Right.
only some kids were athletes. Only some kids were playing sports. So I guess, I don't know. I'm just stuck to how I grew up knowing it. You know, I'm actually closed-minded on this subject, which I'm not always. I'm usually open-minded.
Right.
And I don't know why. I don't have a good answer for you, but that's a part of my answer is like I'm just kind of mentally connected to that like connection I had to it.
I
don't
can
know.
see that.
Nothing about esports bothers me.
Right.
The only thing I want to see happen is like a definition of sport that we can all sort of like.
Agree to.
And like I'm not the type of person that expects everyone to agree on one
Right,
thing.
right.
That's the point of a definition of a word, bruh. Like, so we can look it up in the dictionary and all
Right.
just know what it means.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. Technology is going to keep making more gray areas 50 years down the line.
Yeah.
So, like, the things that we always thought, like, okay, these are going to be certain forever. I don't think anything in this life, when it comes to, you know, things like this,
Yeah, bro.
are ever going to be certain. Because technology is going to just, whether you agree with it, like, whether I agree with it or not, whether you agree with it or not, technology is going to keep rolling in.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's not stopping.
I agree with you. And like, when it comes to most topics, I'm cool with change. I'm good to just fly
Right.
and go with the flow.
Right.
Except maybe when it comes to definitions of words. Like, I'm the type of guy that would just stick to the normal one. Because anybody can just make up a new definition of anything, bro.
Right.
Like,
Well, how do you think words were created?
somebody making it up?
Boom, yeah.
So I'm the type of guy to stick to that one. Because, like, if we just keep changing words, it's like now people don't know what 2 + 2 is. It's like, bro, whether we earned it or not, just the
Yeah.
way it was, like, I'm the type of guy who just wants it to stay. Because,
Okay.
like,
So you don't like change.
well, I don't like the idea of me all of a sudden not knowing what's what.
And I think, and that's a good point, because I think, like, with football, the rules have been foundationally, the rules have been the same.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you have, like, the new tackle rules and things like that. Soccer, been the same.
Yeah.
Hockey.
They evolve.
They,
Like, rules
you know,
evolve. but-
slightly.
Yeah.
And then technology comes in, like goal line technology, things like that come in. But then when you look at esports and when you have like someone like you who thinks like, oh, I don't like change in this type of field, esports is always changing because there's 50 plus games where you can have an esport in.
Yeah.
Then the games themselves, within themselves, are always changing. You know,
Yeah.
developers are always improving them. Drastic changes, little changes. Like, you know, sometimes every day, like Fortnite, for example, they have a big update every week. And that's how it pulls people in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why people are transitioning to esports, because it's always changing.
Yeah, I think another one of my problems is like video games. Like my idea of video games growing up and then sports.
Mm-hmm.
Two separate, like you mimicked sports on a video
Right,
game. You
right.
play basketball on a video game virtually,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go outside and play it in real life. So it's
Right.
like these guys are mimicking real sports. You're never going to have a video game where you're controlling somebody else playing a video game.
Right.
And then playing real sports on
right.
the,
And then there's
on
the two sides of the coin of like the word fluid.
yeah.
Of like there's sports always being fluid, the definition's always going to change. But then there's an other side of the argument where it's like, well, you're not doing the movements in the game, so how is it fluid?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think
You're controlling what happens as opposed to
right, and
actual
then there's,
real
there's
life.
algorithms that can be
Yeah.
in place and stuff like that. So
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. Well, shoot, we have a bunch of footage, so
we do.
I think it's good, dude. You said everything you want to say.
Yeah.
You killed it. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Hey, thanks for having me. I
Thanks for
appreciate it.
watching. Peace.
Our great audience.
Our live audience.